How aspirin was discovered. 4,000 years ago, the ancient Sumerians made the surprising discovery is they scraped the bark of the particular kind of tree and ate it. Their pain disappeared. Little did they know that what they found was destined to influence the future course of medicine. What the Sumerians discovered was the precursor to the medicine known today as aspirin. Aspirin, an active ingredient, is found commonly in willow trees and other wise plants, which is how it came to fuse the medical traditions of Sumer, ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, and other cultures. Around 400 BC, Hippocrates, thought of as the father of the modern medicine, first recommended chewing willow bark for pain relief and making willow leaf tea to ease the pain of childbirth. But it took over 2,000 years for us to comprehensively investigate its potential. In the mid-18th century, the Elizabeth named Edward Thorne ran 5 years of experiment showing that little bark crushed into a powder and eaten could cure a fever. It took nearly another 7 years for German pharmacist Johann Buchberg to finally identify and purify the substance that made all this possible, a compound called salicin. By then, doctors were routinely using willow bark and other science-rich plants like the herb methods to ease pain, fever, and inflammation. But identifying the exact compound suddenly opened up the possibility of manipulating its form. In 1853, a French chemist managed to chemically synthesize the compound, creating the substance called acetylsalicylic acid. Then, in 1897, the pharmaceutical company Bayer found new methods and began marketing the compound as a pain reliever called aspirin. This was widely recognized as one of the first synthetic pharmaceutical drugs. Originally, aspirin was just Bayer brand name, A for acyl, and spar for meadowsweet, whose botanical name is spider Soon, aspirin became synonymous with the acetylsalicylic acid. As influenza grew, aspirin was found to ease not just the pain, but also many inflammation-related problems like the rheumatoid arthritis, pericarditis, which inflamed the fluid-filled sac around the heart, and Kawasaki disease, where blood vessels become inflamed. Yet, despite aspirin's medical value, at this point scientists still did actually know how it works. In the 1960s and 70s, Swiss and British scientists changed that. They showed that drug interrupts the production of certain chemicals called prostaglandins, which control the transmitter of pain sensation and inflammation. In 1982, the discovery won the researchers a Nobel Prize in Medicine. Over time, researchers have also uncovered aspirin's risks. Overconsumption can cause bleeding in intestines and brain. It can also trigger Ray's syndrome, a rare but often fatal illness that affects the brain and livers in children with the infection. And in the late 20th century, aspirin's success has been overshadowed by the newer painkillers with fewer side effects, like acetaminophen and ibuprofen. But in 1918, further discovering about aspirin benefits revived interest in it. In fact, the 1980s Nobel Prize winners also demonstrated aspirin's slow production of thromboxane, chemical that caused the clumping of platelets, which in turn formed the blood clot. A landmark clinical trial showed that aspirin reduced the heart attack risk by 44% in participants who took the drug. Today, we prescribe it to people at risk of heart attack or stroke because it's cut the likelihood of the clots forming in arteries that supply the heart and brain. Even more intriguingly, there is a growing body of research that suggests aspirin reduces the risk of getting and dying from cancer, especially colorectal cancer. This might be due to aspirin's antiplatelet effects, By reducing planet activity, aspirin may decrease the level of a certain protein that helps cancer cells spread. This discovery has transformed aspirin from a mere pain reliever to potential life-saving treatments. Today, we consume about 100 billion aspirin tablets each year, and researchers continue searching for new applications. Already, aspirin's versatility has transformed modern medicine, which is astounding considering its humble beginnings in a screaming of the willow bark. One more. 4,000 years ago, the ancient Sumerians made a surprising discovery. Is they scraped the bark of the particular kind of tree and ate it. Their pain disappeared. Little they know what they found was destined to influence the future course of medicine. What the Sumerian had discovered was a precursor of the medicine known today as aspirin. Aspirin active ingredients is found commonly in willow tree and other wise plants, which is how it came to infuse the medical tradition of Sumer, ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, and other cultures. Around 400 BC, Hippocrates, thought of as the father of modern medicine, first recommended chewing willow bark for pain relief and making willow leaf tea to ease the pain of childbirth. But it took over 2,000 years for us to comprehensively investigate its potential. In the mid-18th century, an Englishman named Edward Stone ran 5 years of experiments showing that willow bark crushed into a powder and eaten could cure a fever. It took nearly another 70 years for German pharmacist Johann Buchner to finally identify and purify the substance that made all this possible, a compound called salicylate. By then, doctors were routinely using willow bark and other salicylate plants like herb marrowsweet to ease pain, fever, and inflammation. But identifying the exact compound suddenly opened up the possibility of manipulating its form. In 1853, French chemists managed to chemically synthesize the compound, creating the substance called oxytetracyclic acid. Then, in 1897, the pharmaceutical company Bayer found a new method and began marketing the compound as the pain reliever called aspirin. This was widely recognized as one of the first synthetic pharmaceutical drugs. Originally, aspirin was just Bayer's brand name, A for acel, and spar for meadowsweet, whose botanical name is Pyrrhodia omeria. Soon, aspirin became synonymous with acetylsalicylic acid. As its influence grew, aspirin was found to ease not just pain, but also made inflammation-related problems like the rheumatoid arthritis, pericarditis, which inflamed the fluid sac around the heart, and Kawasaki disease, where blood vessels become inflamed. Yet, despite aspirin's medical value, at this point, scientists still did not actually know how it worked. In 1960s and 70s, Swedish and British scientists changed that. They showed that the drug interrupts the production of certain chemicals called prostaglandins, which control the transmission of pain sensation and inflammation. In 1972, the discovery won the researcher a Nobel Prize in Medicine. Over time, research have also uncovered aspirin's risks. Overconsumption can cause bleeding in the intestines and the brain. It can also trigger Raynaud's syndrome, a rare but often fatal illness that affects the brain and liver in children with infection. And in the late 20th century, aspirin's success has been overshadowed by new painkillers with fewer side effects like acetaminophen and ibuprofen. In the 1980s, further discovery about aspirin's benefits revived interest in it. In fact, in 1982, Nobel Prize winners also demonstrated that aspirin slows the production of a thromboxane, chemical that causes the clumping of platelets, which in turn for blood clots. A landmark clinical trial showed that aspirin reduced heart attack risk by 44% in participants who took the drug. Today, we process its people to escape heart attack or stroke because it's cut the likelihood of a clot forming its arteries that supply the heart and brain. Even more intriguingly, there is a growing body of research that suggests aspirin reduces the risk of getting and dying from cancer, especially colorectal cancer. This might be due to aspirin's anti-platelet effects. By reducing platelet activity, aspirin may decrease the level of a certain protein to help the cancer cells spread. This discovery has transformed aspirin from a mere pain reliever to potentially life-saving treatment. Today, we consume about 100 billion aspirin tablets each year, and researchers continue searching for new applications. Already, aspirin's versatility has transformed modern medicine, which is astounding considering the humble beginnings in scraping of a whaling bark. This video is talking about aspirin and then how it works in our body. At the first time, it's found as just coincidentally, and some ancient people just found some trees called willow bark and then ate when they have a fever pain, and then they know this tree have ability to release the pain. From the time, people used to use this plant, and some ancient medical people use the powder of this treat to give the patient. I think this is the beginning point how this plant can be used to patient. And after that, people found it has the aspirin have the ability to reduce pain, fever, and inflammation. So they used, but as time goes by, there are another good medication for pain. So for pain, like the paracetamol and ibuprofen. So people just use the kind of this medication instead of aspirin. But I can't remember the exactly year, but in the modern time, some Nobel person found this medication also have the effect to reduce the reduce the potential of heart risk, because it can prevent to make blood clot. So this medication also can use as the antiplatelet nowadays. That's what I watched today. Thank you.